and I'm excited to see him play. Of course, we'd love, from a Newcastle one, we'd love to keep hold of both them names as we see on that straight. We'd love to keep hold of Isak as well, but by signing and Woltemade, it looks like Alexander will probably leave before Monday night.
I was interested looking at this pie chart, the fact that he's higher in terms of expected goals. Isak is higher in terms of expected goals, but Woltemade is higher in terms of chances created. And there's not really too much in terms of the expected goals numbers as well, even though Isak is way ahead in terms of shots. So it gives you an idea, and the touches suggest that he's way more than Isak, and that suggests that he is a player who's going to be involved a lot more than just kind of being an out-and-out number 9. And Eddie, how it pains me to say that's not what we've brought in here.
Yeah, I think obviously you can see that, but I think I don't read too much into stats, albeit, he hasn't played in the Premier League. Isak's obviously been judged on his Premier League form, so I don't read too much into that. But clearly he's a player that they've been after for a while. But as I say, he's still really young, so we know, yourself, Shay, what the expectation at Newcastle for somebody to come in and succeed straight away it might be quite difficult. So I'm sure Eddie will be looking to bring somebody else in alongside him, maybe just to share the pressure.
Stuart, you talked about how well you feel that Eddie Howe's handling the situation, and he mentioned it there in the interview, that it can't have been easy for the players. Is that a distraction? That not just any old transfer speculation, but it's the saga of the summer?
Yeah, it's a big saga. It's been on all the news headlines, obviously, and as a player, you've got to just do your job. You've got to get on with it. But certainly, it can't be easy for them either, because as players, you're wheeled out in front of the press, and I'm sure every player's been asked about it in every press conference. So it's not easy, but as a player, you've just got to get on with it and look after what you can control. You can't control what's going on with another player. You can just control what's going on with yourself. So it can be a distraction, but Eddie seems to have done a great job in, keeping everything in-house.
We're nearly there in terms of a decision being made one way or another. Shay, it looks as though it may be that the move to Liverpool will happen now that Newcastle have got in reinforcements. What have you made of the whole saga? Yeah,
it's a shame, because I think Alexander Isak's been a brilliant player. If he does go to Liverpool, a fantastic player. Not that long ago we see Alexander the Great behind the goal and the Swedish flags and the way the war flags.
That's not what they were singing
at Newcastle. They were singing something different the last couple of weeks, but they were singing that because they feel a bit hurt, if I'm being brutally honest. The fans feel hurt how it's all panned out. And I think maybe ill-advised Alexander with some of the stuff that's come out, and especially his agent. I think obviously he's been very quiet, but I'm sure is pulling lots of strings behind the scenes. So I just felt even from an Alexander point of view, could they have dealt with it better? He's not played any football pre-season as well. Even if he does join Liverpool, it'll take him. He's missed a full pre-season as well. But again, part of me hopes that he might just stay and can score this time next week or 2 weeks after the international break and come back into the fold. But by signing this,
do you still think there's a way?
I think there might still be a way, because obviously Callum Wilson left the club as well. This guy's come in this week. They still need another striker. I know Viss has been heavily linked, and obviously the Wolves striker this week as well. So Strand Larsen. So I still believe that Eddie's. He's not giving us much out there, but which is fair enough, keeping his cards close to his chest. But I do believe they need another striker in as well. So I don't think that Alexander is just quite over the line yet, but it looks that way, if I'm being honest, Kelly.
Yeah, there's been a very long and involved saga, and there's lots been going on in that. And from what you say, and from the little that we have heard, when Alexander Isak did put the statement out on social media, it seems as though miscommunication has been at the heart of it, that he is certainly under the impression that promises were made. He talked about broken promises in his statement, but that is not the understanding of the club. That's not how they understand the relationship between themselves and Isak. Do you have any sympathy for him in any of this?
I suppose you do and you don't, because we were sort of talking off air, but Patrick Bamford, for example, at tonight at Leeds, they don't want him at the club anymore. He's been there 7 years, 2 promotions, lots of highs with the football club, and the club don't want him anymore. So they go, well, can you find a new club? And then Alexander Isak has done really well for Newcastle and wants to leave to a different club for whatever reason, good or bad. And he's been absolutely abused from top to tail. I don't know. It's a difficult one. I just feel like the whole lot. I mean, even the Liverpool thing, and probably leave a bit on them as well. I think that the offer of 110 million was a bit of a grenade into the whole thing, because I think that offer's disrespectful. I know it's a lot of money, like one of the highest paid sort of sums in the Premier League. But if you think of Caicedo, a midfielder, went for 116. Declan Rice went for 105, and we're talking about Alexander Isak.
And 3 years left on his contract.
3 years left on his contract. One of the best strikers, in not just in the Premier League, in world football. So again, I think they've been clever, Liverpool. I suppose they'll look back and go, we'll sit back with the popcorn and we'll see what happens now after putting that bid in. But I think for it to come off on Monday at 7 o'clock, I think that offer has to be a lot more.